Don't act like you forgot. I called a shot. Like that.
One of the things you'll often hear from single mothers is that they wish their exes were more involved in the children's lives post-divorce. They'll go to great lengths to shame him publicly by posting videos on social media or going around telling everyone they know, friends, co-workers, and most especially other family members, just how awful the dad is, and of course, how saintly they are. The reality is, no one ever questions what's being said. It's believed as gospel with nary a second spent in consideration of the other side of the story. And that's telling, especially when you consider that I've challenged hundreds of these single mothers who've done these very things to give me their ex's contact info so I can verify that what they're saying is true, to get the dad side of the story. To date, not one, not a single one has taken me up on that offer. Gee, I wonder why. But there's another thing to consider, one that, again, is rarely discussed. Think about this. If these single mothers are willing to put their ex on blast to vilify and disparage him time and again in public, where they might get some pushback, can you imagine what they're saying to their children in private, where they don't have to worry or fear that someone is going to call them out for their toxic, alienating behavior? And that's exactly their goal, to turn everyone, most especially the children, against the dad, to fulfill their sick need for validation and sympathy. Again, no one takes a moment to think about the effect that has on the dad, the person who is the target of that abuse. Millions of good dads experience the excruciating pain of having their children expertly manipulated, brainwashed, and tricked into hating them through a complex case of mental kidnapping. No, instead, everyone focuses on the narcissistic, controlling mothers who get off on making videos where they know they'll get lots of attention and sympathy from others, especially other single mothers, which is why they make them, even though they know there is a very good chance that their children will see or hear about those videos. A rational person would take pause and think about that, but the women who do this stuff are anything but rational. They have one goal, which is to feed their ego by turning their children against the other parent, simply because they can. And they get the added bonus of inflicting the maximum amount of pain that they can on their ex, because while having a child die is unimaginable, having a child who is alive but tells you over and over again they hate you and want nothing to do with you for years, even decades, is more so. While a child dying is horrific to say the least, at least it has some form of closure. An alienating child rejecting a parent time and again brings no closure. Not now, not ever. It is a never-ending form of torture like no other, and it's something these narcissistic mothers know and get off on. Often these targeted dads never see or talk to their children again, although they may try everything to re-engage. The pain they go through is so ongoing, so deep, that they eventually have no choice but to give up and walk away, only to then have others attack them for doing just that because they're not fighting for their children, even though they've done exactly that for years. Sadly, most people will side with the alienator, believing every word she says. As I said, rarely do they ever question what's being said, or even try to understand the poignancy of the grief these dads are going through. Rarely, if ever, do these dads get any support, caring, or consideration from anyone. They are left isolated and alone, which is why so many, as the statistics bear out, end up seeing unaliving themselves as the only way to escape the pain. Let that sink in. It is estimated that over 40% of the men who end up unaliving themselves do so from the effects of divorce and dealing with family courts and judges who don't see them as parents or human beings, but walking indentured servants to extract as much money from as possible, all while claiming it's in the best interest of the children to do so, which in effect supports the actual abuser who's causing irreparable harm to those same children. So the next time you see a single mother trashing her ex, telling you how horrible he is, take a step back. If she's claiming she's a mama bear who cares about her children and is doing everything she can to protect them from the evil man that is their father, or as they so often call him, their sperm donor, ask yourself, is that really the case? Because almost always it's not. In fact, it's almost a sure sign that you're hearing the rantings of a parental alienator.